Good afternoon, everyone. I call to order the special meeting of the Mayor and City Council at 5:03 p.m. Welcome and welcome. Thank you for being here and welcome to those who are viewing remotely. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, here.
And Councilmember
When?
Barra has not yet arrived. Councilmember Figueroa?
Here.
Councilmember Charette, it has not yet arrived. Mayor Pro Tem Canas?
Here.
Councilmember Flores has not yet arrived. And Councilmember Ortiz?
Here.
Mayor Tran?
Here. Thank you. Pastor B.J. Sims from Kingdom Culture Worship Center will lead tonight's invocation. Please approach to the podium at this time. And can I have Mayor Pro Tem, would you lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Please rise.
Good evening, Council and the City of San Bernardino. Before I pray, I believe the word of tonight is prudence. Prudence, to act with good reason and good judgment. So today for this special meeting, I want to pray that we all operate with it such. So God, we just thank you today for our council. We thank you for this city. We thank you for the leadership, God, that you have chosen to lead us. We just thank you, God, that you'll give us understanding. You said that if we ask for wisdom, you will give it to us without rebuke. Tonight, God, we are above our head, but we ask that you make things clear. You said in all of our getting, get understanding and apply wisdom to every situation. We trust you to do that tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor B.J., and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, we'll move on to public comments for the special meeting. At this time, public comments will be heard for items on the agenda only. To address the City Council, everyone must complete a speaker card and provide it to the City Clerk. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. Each person should state their name for the record before beginning their comments. You will have 3 minutes each. As your name is being called, please line up behind the podium. We have 2 podiums available for you. Your name will be only called once. If you do not respond when called, you may forfeit your opportunity to speak. If you require Spanish interpretation, we do have an interpreter on site. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate you will need interpreting assistance. In addition, we have interpreting listening devices available in the back. We ask that you please observe proper decorum and do not speak out of turn or make comments from your seat. If you wish to address the Mayor and City Council, please be sure to submit a speaker slip. If you speak out of turn or disrupt the meeting, a warning may be given and/or you will be asked to leave the meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.9 and Penal Code 403.
En este momento solo se escucharán los comentarios públicos para artículos de la agenda. Para dirigirse al Consejo Municipal, cada individuo debe completar una tarjeta de orador. Se debe completar la tarjeta de orador y entregarla a la Secretaría Municipal en este momento. Solo aquellas tarjetas de orador entregadas a la Secretaría Municipal podrán dirigirse al Consejo Municipal. No se aceptarán tarjetas tardías. Cada persona debe indicar su nombre para el registro antes de comenzar sus comentarios. Al ser llamado, por favor, forme una fila en el orden anunciado. Disponemos de 2 podios para su comodidad. Diríjase a cualquiera de ellos tan pronto se le llame su nombre. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos un intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. También tenemos aparatos disponibles para escuchar la Junta en español. Le pedimos que, por favor, observe el debido decoro y no hable fuera de turno ni realice comentarios desde su asiento. Si desea dirigirse a la alcaldesa y al Consejo Municipal, asegúrese de presentar una hoja de orador. Si habla fuera de turno o interrumpe la reunión, podrá recibir una advertencia y o se le pedirá que abandone la sesión conforme a la sección 54957.9 del Código Gubernamental y la sección 403 del Código Penal.
Thank you. Gracias. We have 11 speakers tonight. Madam City Clerk.
Ron Alvarado, Dyrell Jones, Christian Shaughnessy, Dolores Armstead, Ruben Mendoza, Andy Fuentes, Yvette Romero, Robert Carrillo, Kimberly Calvin, Ashley Dial, and Susan Greer.
Thank you. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and neighbors. My name is Ron Alvarado. As you convene for this special meeting to discuss the implementation of the city's overall goals and priorities, I want to emphasize that establishing a long-term strategic plan is one of the most consequential duties of this body. It sure would help if there was a few more of you guys here. It shapes our budget, directs our staff, and signals to our residents what we value most. As a professional government fraud investigator with a background in public administration, I know firsthand that a strategic plan is only as good as its execution and its metrics. Vague statements of intent do not pave streets, secure our parks, or clear blight. That is why I strongly urge this council to insist on rigorous, measurable, and time-bound SMART objectives. We need absolute clarity on exactly who is taking the lead on each initiative, what the specific intended outcomes are, and a firm timeline for when those results will be delivered to us, the public. Furthermore, the priorities you established tonight cannot exist in a vacuum. They must directly address the institutional neglect that has impacted our core neighborhoods, particularly the west side and downtown areas of the First Ward. First, our top neighborhood priority must be aggressive, proactive code enforcement. We must stop letting corporate slumlords and negligent commercial property owners degrade our historic corridors while escaping accountability. Second, public safety must be structurally integrated with robust community infrastructure. That means investing heavily in our local parks, expanding youth arts programs, and partnering with our local trade unions to build sustainable pre-apprenticeship pipelines for our young people. Finally, every single goal must be underpinned by strict fiscal transparency. We must bring independent oversight and regular performance audits to City Hall to ensure public funds are used efficiently, equitably, and transparently. A strategic plan should not be an abstract bureaucratic exercise or a document that simply sits on a shelf. It must be a binding roadmap for results. We also need a forensic audit. By anchoring your goals in professional oversight, strict accountability, and neighborhood-first investments, you can ensure that San Bernardino moves forward and that the First Ward becomes a place where hope truly happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Ditto, everything he said. I see that you had a council retreat in December, but what was the outcome of that? What was the results? Was it just another getaway for the council? Because I didn't see any results from that retreat. Also, I'm just making some statements, observations that I saw. Was this just an outline of what we should do? Because it's very vague, and why is it taking so long? We're not going to have anything completed until March 27? Why? We have waited so many years to try and start something, and we have nothing. I did not see, did you have a community and business input in this strategic plan outline? Because obviously it's an outline. Did you get any input from the community? Because it didn't seem like it. It looked like just another bureaucratic exercise. Forensic audit review, what does this entail? Will it be a presentation at the full council, or will it be another special meeting? We are past due. We've been asking for an audit for several years that I know of, and it hasn't been done. We need it. There's obviously a lot going on, especially for the grants that we're giving to our nonprofits for the homeless strategies. What's going on? We've been begging for reports, and we've gotten nothing. So this is just another vague exercise. Revenue, we need to review the contract with the county. Why do they continue to get all of our property taxes? Can we renegotiate? That's an important issue that needs to be taken up as you do this strategic plan. That's very important because it's a huge hunk of our tax dollars. I'm sure we can get something back. It needs to be renegotiated. You mentioned on several items to hire outside firms. Are there going to be 3 bids? Hopefully, whoever gets it is someone either from the city or at least the Inland Empire, so they understand what we're going through. Someone, you did it before, got someone from the East Coast, and they don't know anything about us. We need people that understand San Bernardino or definitely the Inland Empire as you go through these bids. And again, on the public relations strategic plan, we need someone from the city or at least the Inland Empire, not someone from the East Coast or whatever that doesn't know who we are. Housing and homeless, we need reports from the current firms providing services. Who are they serving? How many are they serving? We want a demographic breakdown. We haven't gotten anything. All we see is another big check, another grant given, another service contract, and we need results. What are they doing? There's a lot of money going out, and we have no results, and we deserve it. It's our tax dollars.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and Mr. City Manager. My name is Christian Shaughnessy, and I am a candidate for the 2nd Ward. When people talk about public safety, the conversation often starts with crime statistics and enforcement strategies. But the strongest and safest communities are built long before an emergency call is made. They are built through opportunity, investment, and a sense of pride in the neighborhoods that we call home. That is why I am encouraged by the potential I see along the Highland, Baseline, and Waterman corridors. These corridors represent more than commercial districts. They represent an opportunity to reshape how residents experience their community. When businesses open their doors, when storefronts are improved, when families have places to shop, dine, and gather close to home, we create the conditions for stronger and safer neighborhoods. There are those that say we are a broken city. But in reality, our residents are the economic fuel that keeps surrounding cities running as well. It's time for us to start investing in ourselves so that our hard-earned money stays and prospers here at home too. I am particularly excited about the opportunity for collaboration between the 2nd Ward's neighbors in the 1st and 7th Wards. The success of our joint corridors will require partnership, shared vision, and a commitment to listening to residents about the types of businesses and services they wish to see in our own neighborhoods. Economic development should not happen to a community, it should happen with a community. Ensuring a forensic audit happens is also a tremendous opportunity to prove to the community and investors that every single tax dollar is spent properly and that San Bernardino is a trustworthy destination for investment. And as we work to attract new businesses, we must also remember the entrepreneurs who committed to San Bernardino through both good times and bad. Supporting facade improvements, infrastructure upgrades, beautification efforts, and business assistance programs can help existing businesses thrive while encouraging new investment to follow. When young people see vibrant commercial corridors, when families feel connected to their neighborhoods, and when local businesses are succeeding, public safety naturally becomes stronger. Economic development, community pride, and public safety are not separate goals. They are fundamentally connected and intertwined. I look forward, my friends, to seeing San Bernardino continue moving in this direction and to building partnerships that bring meaningful investment, new opportunities, and lasting improvements to the communities we serve. And I look forward to working with every single person on the dais to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Mayor, congratulations on your election victory. My name is Robert Carrillo. I'm in the 7th Ward resident. I appreciate today's discussion because I believe it raises an important question for our city, and that is, what does implementation look like? As I reviewed the packet, I noticed several themes that I strongly support: housing and homelessness, streamlined permitting, partnerships with schools and universities, healthcare institutions, local businesses, and economic development as priorities. It also identified, as was mentioned, Baseline, Highland, Waterman, Mount Vernon, and downtown as key redevelopment corridors. Those are the right conversations to be having. but I encourage us to think bigger. Housing beyond being a part of quality of life discussion, housing as economic development. The data shows that every new housing unit supports local businesses. Every family that can afford to stay in San Bernardino strengthens our workforce. Every underutilized property that becomes housing increases economic activity and creates long-term value for our city. I encourage the city to think about how it can activate the tools that it already has. I learned that we have a City of San Bernardino Housing Authority. How can we reactivate that so it plays a role in housing production and neighborhood revitalization? We have opportunity zones. We're losing 1.0 tracks. We still have an opportunity to get some for 2.0. Right? We have state tools like AB 2011. We need to lean into AB 2011. We have access to financing mechanisms like new market tax credits, especially along the baseline corridor. So how do we move San Bernardino and staff to fully leverage those opportunities? I encourage the city to create a pathway of least resistance for local and emerging developers. The community wants local ownership, local investment, and community wealth building. And we need a system that helps local builders succeed. Economic development is more than attracting outside capital. Right? It is about cultivating the people that are already doing the work here, that are investing in San Bernardino, parcel by parcel, lot by lot, house by house. I know we are serious about being an organization of excellence. We've heard that often, so we should build systems that bring those voices, our community voices, into the process. Finally, I want to say, I think that San Bernardino has an opportunity to lead. Our coalition around Launchpad, which most of you know about, is now more than a dozen organizations deep. We've had presentations and conferences throughout the country, and cities, municipalities, and nonprofits around the country want what we are bringing, and we have it here in San Bernardino. Thank you.
Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Ashley Dial, and I am a tenant here. I came to speak about a situation that was uncovered last year in September, and I wanted to make sure that the council does its due diligence to make sure that revenue is being brought into the city and not the city being cheated because people want to turn a blind eye. So I was learning that code enforcement, when there's violations, I'm not the sharpest knife in the block, but I'm not the dullest, so correct me if I'm wrong, that when owners are fined, this money goes into a general fund. So I don't know if I'm, on to the money, but what I noticed is that my manager tried to avoid, or owner, the people that purchased the place tried to avoid paying the city money by remodeling and rehabbing and all this good stuff. And so I want to make sure that when you guys, have these city budgets and allocate all this funding and all that, that if there's funding being generated from this hidden gem that I discovered last year because, they thought they were going to get away with remodeling and cheating the city of its money. Now, are you guys going to make sure that this company brings its fair share of money into our city to ensure that we have programs and things that we may need? And if there is enough being allocated and generated into this city fund, is there a way some of this money can be allocated to this housing and homelessness division? Because I've seen city Santa Monica allocated $6 million for their residents for rental assistance. And when you call around, I deal with tenants on a daily. It's a nightmare. There's no resources. Very unfortunate because of the climate and the times that we're in. But if we're uncovering money that's being cheated from our city, what are you guys going to do when the money starts, I guess, rolling in? Because like I said, I don't know how that goes. But what are you guys going to do to ensure that the city is not being cheated, people are not being paid to turn a blind eye because it doesn't concern them? And how can you guys allocate money? I know Salvation Army, I know all these different organizations get all of this money for rental assistance or rapid rehousing funds or whatever, but the people are not seeing it. And so if the city can hopefully figure out a way to dedicate or allocate some money for tenants due to the people that you guys allowed to come here to milk us, that will hopefully keep some people in their places, and people won't be breaking into buildings to sleep, breaking into you guys' wonderful buildings while you guys are complaining, but you guys do nothing to ensure people have protections for themselves, their families, and make sure you guys, the money rolls in and you guys govern it, because it's sad.
Thank
The money
you.
that the city has missed out on due to
Thank you.
negligence.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Yvette Romero. Hello, Mayor, council members, and community. Again, my name is Yvette Romero. I'm a resident of the First Ward. Tonight's meeting is an important step for San Bernardino, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak before developing the SMART goals. I also have hope the community. I hope that you consider the community's input from SB 2050 while you move towards these goals. I would like to speak specifically about goal number 3, improve quality of life, specifically regional coordination. As the city develops its SMART goals, I encourage you to remember that coordination is important, but coordination alone is not a measurable outcome. Recent experiences have shown us that participation in regional conversations does not always translate into results. So I encourage the city to adopt intentional and measurable objectives focused on increasing housing production, securing funding necessary to support housing production to meet our regional housing needs allocation by 2029, and reduce homelessness through permanent supportive housing solutions. It starts with housing, and it's sustained through support, services, and opportunities for residents to thrive. And when residents thrive, then the communities thrive, the city thrives. And you know how it goes. So as a nurse and now someone working in community development, I believe that housing is healthcare, where people live and the conditions surrounding them impact physical health, mental health, and overall well-being. So stable housing for residents also affects the community as a whole by reducing reliance on emergency services, crisis response systems, and other public resources. So housing is both a public health and economic development. So if we want to make a meaningful progress, we must address the root causes, including the lack of housing that residents can afford and access. This is also why I understand public safety as part of quality of life. As SMART goals are developed, I encourage the city to continue viewing public safety through a broad lens. I agree with what Christian stated. The workshop materials identified housing as homelessness, walkability, and youth programming as public safety strategies. Communities are safer when basic needs are met. Safe and stable housing, meaningful working, access to education, reliable transportation, and opportunities for community connection all contribute to public safety and community of life. And the city's budget should also reflect those supporting those activities and not just policing for public safety. Housing, health, and economic development are not separate goals. Everything is everything, right? They're all connected and outcomes that strengthen each other. So please consider those in your next steps. I look forward to seeing measurable goals that help move the vision into action. That's the most important part, right? We have plans all the time, we have this great vision, but we need action. Without thoughtful planning and accountability, I believe San Bernardino become a regional leader in quality of life, housing, and economic.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Theodore Trentman. I'm a resident of Big Bear City. I'm also a candidate for the CSD board in 2026, the owner of Big Bear Television. I'm here tonight representing myself and the future Humane Society of Big Bear Valley. As you're planning tonight about your city's future, I want to encourage you to maintain a healthy relationship with Southern California animal rescue organizations, animal networkers like myself, and animal transporters. Animal networkers, like I said, like myself, we share animals online that are in need of rescue from your animal control facility. I myself manage a Facebook group in Big Bear that maintains 4,500 followers that often adopt animals from your facility. I also manage a Change.org petition that's a no-kill petition for San Bernardino County that has more than 18,000 signatures. I'm here tonight because of a recent action taken by one of your employees named Jasmine. She's your director of animal control. She banned a transporter named Shea, who's here tonight, from transporting animals out of your facility because she called the facility a slaughterhouse online. The mistake Jasmine made was that she didn't know that Shea is an attorney who knows how to protect her freedom of speech. Just so you know the definition of a slaughterhouse, it's a place where animals are killed and turned into meat. Your animal control facility does kill animals and has a contract with a meat rendering plant. Shea called it as she sees it. She called it as it is. And Jasmine felt she could stop a transporter from helping your facility because she asked basically that she never come back. I'm here to encourage you to see a future that works with your neighbors and to hold high those who work to help you reach your goals and to help you house your unwanted pets. So I hope you get why I'm here. Shea is going to speak in a minute. When you have a director who's specifically asking people from outside your community that are trying to help you, most of us make no money helping save your unwanted pets, who calls her in and asks her never to come back. She bans her because she called it as she sees it. You know, we are in America still. This is why we have freedom of speech, why I'm up here right now, why I drove an hour to be here tonight, because I'm trying to personally help your city save its animals. And to hear that someone's banned because they're frustrated when we don't reach those goals bothers me. So I hope our city up on the valley can continue to work with you, and I look forward to hearing how you resolve this.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Ruben Mendoza, resident of Ward 7. I am here to speak on goal number 3, improved quality of life, specifically regarding housing and homelessness. This past Saturday, I spoke at a League of Women Voters event regarding the state of housing and homelessness in the San Bernardino area. During that discussion, I highlighted a critical gap in how we perceive this crisis. While our point-in-time count identifies roughly 1,200 individuals, our school district, San Bernardino City Unified, identifies 5,600 students experiencing housing insecurity. This distinction matters because perception shapes reality. And if we rely only on narrow data sets, we miss the broader scope of vulnerable families in our community. For example, between October 2025 and March 2026, our county's response system saw thousands of non-duplicative enrollments, over 2,400 households with children, and over 3,700 single adults. With the general plan update coming into implementation by January 1st, 2027, we are at a critical crossroads. We must aggressively pursue the objectives already laid out in our housing element to meet our 2029 RHNA obligations. Specifically, we need to actively publicize transit-oriented district incentives, update the development code with clear, objective standards for mixed-use and residential projects, amend the code to reflect the latest state density bonus laws to facilitate affordable housing development, and continuously streamline the permitting process for local builders. Our general plan shouldn't just map out where things go, it should reflect who we value. Let's pass these critical updates for San Bernardino. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll keep it quick. I just want to thank you guys for having this at a convenient time, because I know when you guys had a budget workshop not so long ago, you guys did it at 1:30 p.m. when so many people were still at work and at school, and literally they couldn't come because of that. So if you guys are going to have important meetings like this moving forward, I hope that you guys would do it at a more convenient time like when you guys did it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and my fellow citizens. My name is Susan Geyer, otherwise known on Facebook as Shea Omehia. I've been a rescue animal transporter for 10 years, transporting thousands of animals from virtually every Southern California shelter, including the one here in the city of San Bernardino. One of the priorities and goals of the city and the shelter should be keeping good rescue partners, transporters, staff, and volunteers. I'd like to tell you about something that happened to me last week on Wednesday. I was verbally told by Jasmine, the director, that I was no longer permitted to transport from the shelter. Why was I banned? I was told I wasn't professional or courteous. I asked when, and she said, oh no, it wasn't at the shelter. She was referring to my Facebook post, which used the word slaughterhouse. My posts share deadlined animals and generally say something to the effect of, "This healthy adoptable dog will be killed tomorrow by the City of San Bernardino Animal Services Slaughterhouse," period. No name is mentioned, no shelter policy is mentioned, and I'm obviously not impeding collaboration with the shelter because I was there picking up 2 dogs. My Facebook account isn't even in my real name. It's Shay Omahia. I was banned in retaliation for the use of one word, slaughterhouse. Now, why was I banned? I believe that Jasmine didn't think that I would do or say anything about it, that I simply would just go away. Most people probably wouldn't be able to tell you my real name. They wouldn't be able to tell you my Facebook name. They would be able to tell you that I'm the nice red-headed transporter. That's how I'm known. Ironically, my Facebook post about the retaliation for using the word slaughterhouse is generating more attention than my shared posts using the word slaughterhouse. I believe this is to send a message to the rescue community at large, transporters, networkers, shelter volunteers, and staff that they better keep quiet about policies, procedures, conditions, etc., or risk retaliation. That all it takes is one word that Jasmine might find offensive, and you could find yourself out of a job or banned from the shelter. So what happens when the rescue community and shelter staff see that the nice red-headed transporter was banned for one word? Free speech is not only chilled, it's frozen, and that should not be a city goal or priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kimberly Calvin here. And I just have a real simple question to the council. How many strategic plans have we gone through? How much money has been paid for consultants? How many items on this current strategic plan that you initiated in December of last year implemented? Where are we in the process? So as you're here trying to adopt what we've already approved, if anyone would actually go and look at our CIP plans, any other strategic plans, and I'm asking the new council as well, how then are you able to adopt a strategic plan if you have not looked at all of the others? With sitting on the dais for 4 years, I went through 2. And none of those items have been implemented. But the real problem also is that we can agree unanimously to create a plan. It is implementation that is critical. It is implementation. Once this money has been allocated, that is the issue with the city of San Bernardino. It is why we do not have a downtown, because 5 folks up there approved the downtown, 4, I take that back, my apologies. 2 sat on the ad hoc committee. You sabotaged it. You never wanted it to move forward. But in public, we can all vote unanimously to approve. But get behind the scenes and decide something totally different. Totally different. And then we have to have other council members, when the ad hoc committee is coming in to report out, to challenge and want to know exactly what is actually happening versus listening to those who do not want the city of San Bernardino to move forward. And I'm going to tell you that I had none to question me as the lead on that ad hoc committee. Council member, is this correct? You didn't ask those questions because you don't want to know. Because what you know, then you have to be held accountable to. So this right here, fluff. Absolutely nothing but fluff. And what I'm going to help the community to do is to understand that we can vote all day long on an item, but implementation is what is critical here. And we're going to research and then bring that documentation right back to you to show you where you already voted on all of this crap that's in here. But you fail to implement. You fail. And your items that you list, are you serious about these? Because if you are, we would see that here in the city of San Bernardino. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Al Palazzo. I applaud all you people that spoke. I hope I don't repeat what you said. The issue with our city, we can come up with great plans, and I'm going to try to focus on the mall site. It is so flawed. It could bankrupt this city. It will never happen. And I gave you a plan that will give you Victoria Gardens, Ontario Mills, Terra Vista, and the commercial village at Day Creek. Did you read it? Have you ever asked me questions about it? The problem is this. You're listening to the people. That's a start. But you're not involving the people. Not until you involve the people on every issue, building affordable housing, rebuilding the mall. I can point all this out. You don't have people on your staff that are building the bridges in the community. I don't want a job to be in an ivory tower and to impress you. You don't respect me. But I want to sit at a table where we can have intelligent conversations. Nothing's going to change in San Bernardino. Your mall plan, why don't you want Victoria Gardens for the people of San Bernardino if you could have it? Why don't you want Ontario Mills? My design is giving you that. And you know why it's giving you that? Because I'm bringing 35 years and 50 years of the evolution of development. And that means developers like to bring down their costs. And the more they bring down their costs, the more likely buildings will be built. They can charge lesser rents, and they will get tenants. Are we having that conversation? It should be about building for the people in San Bernardino to help the small businesses in San Bernardino. I grew up in San Bernardino when I saw people starting a business in a house on Highland Avenue, and that became Beans Cafe Inn. Later, he built a nice restaurant on Highland. I saw this over and over. We had people in San Bernardino who had great dress shops in downtown, restaurants. I could go on and on. But until you change the way you're thinking, and what I'm saying, it's not your job. Your job is just to listen to us. But now your job is to put people on staff who can get the job done, and who will come to you with a report and say, this is doable. All these fancy, you spent a lot of money for nothing. It's not going to happen. I told myself I wasn't going to go ballistic. I hope I didn't, because I have been losing a lot of sleep.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there are no more speakers.
Thank you. We will now move on to the one discussion item, review and discuss the potential implementation of the city's overall goals and priorities established at the Mayor and City Council Strategic Planning Session. Could we begin with staff's presentation?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to present the strategic goals and priorities. To provide some background, on December 17th, the Mayor and Council participated in a strategic planning workshop. Through the workshop discussions, several priorities were identified, leading to the development of 4 strategic goals that require additional discussion before implementation. Strategic planning is an important component for establishing effective systems, practices, planning, and program implementation to create a framework for comprehensive leadership and guide decision-making. Due to a strategic plan being a lengthier process, which is typically over a year, the following plan is to establish strategic goals and priorities as an interim step. The proposed strategic goals are intended to strengthen city operations, enhance community services, improve transparency, and support economic vitality. The following outlines each goal along with potential next steps and implementation strategies. The 4 goals identified at the December workshop include fiscal sustainability, become an organization of excellence, improved quality of life, and economic development and growth. And at this time, I will turn the presentation over to the city manager to provide an overview of the proposed implementation approach.
So, Madam Mayor and City Council, Goal 1 was fiscal sustainability implementation. First, so I will go through the different bullets that the council had and how we put objectives to those goals as far as timelines, at least as far as timelines to complete different elements of them. First was develop a 3 to 5 year, first was conduct a comprehensive fiscal sustainability analysis. That was from the council. We put together the proposal to develop a 3 to 5 year fiscal sustainability plan, including potential revenue options for council consideration, and present those findings and recommendations to City Council by or prior to March 2027. As an add-on to that particular feature, I've already started working with a group called HDL as far as some different revenue options, looking at things such as how we have moved our property tax and giving us an analysis, which the council has asked for, on the property tax. Second was initiate a citywide fee study, evaluate existing fees, schedules, and recovery models, both positive and negative impacts. The proposed timeline was to present a proposed updated fee for council consideration prior to the 2027-28 budget process, so that you would be able to implement that as part of your next budget and have those fees go into place. Fee study typically takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months minimum, plus the time to actually RFP and bring someone in to do the fee analysis. Forensic audit review. We have a new auditor here in San Bernardino that we've just transitioned to. We can add on to what their duties are, and this can go under that. Obtain a forensic auditor to provide an informational presentation to the City Council. We are bringing forward presentations scheduled for July 15th. Both myself and the auditor went through the points of the council at the meeting, I believe it was about 2 years ago. We went through those points, and so she's preparing a presentation to bring back to council of meeting the objectives and the actual specific things that council asked for at that particular meeting. Revenue. A review of comparable cities indicates that property and sales taxes typically account for approximately 70 to 80%. This is looking at area cities around in this region of total revenues. In comparison, we here in San Bernardino have about 59% of our city revenues are made up of property tax and sales tax. That is part of the issue and the dilemma that the City Council faces is those two tax items tend to be the strongest part of the revenue base for most cities. We have a less of that revenue base than other cities, and thus we have a much higher threshold to be able to make up that difference, and that is one of the things that we're working on. HDL is also going to look at some ideas for us and bring some opportunities for us, or possible opportunities for us. Identify alternative revenue opportunities and present recommendations, implementations to the City Council by March of 2027. Goal number 2 was become an organization of excellence, and under that, organizational assessment was item number 1. Conduct a comprehensive organizational assessment. Organizational assessments are typically performed by an independent consulting firm. In looking and talking to other cities, this is a typical process, not only under from areas I've been involved in, but also other colleagues that I've talked to. The city manager has flexibility to make organizational adjustments like fine-tuning and align resources as City Council priorities initiate and evolve, and that happens over the year, and that happens over multiple years. However, to do more of a comprehensive organizational assessment, hiring an outside firm is probably the best way to go, and my recommendation is based on purchasing that we have to do to complete it by or prior to June 2027. This would include staffing structure, operational efficiency, and service delivery effectiveness. It came up at a previous council meeting that we had a partial organizational assessment that was asked for by council. It involved one department. We actually sent out last week the 2 reports that came out of that organizational assessment that was sent to you last week. Goal number 2, become an organization of excellence implementation. Strategic plan was to initiate a long-term strategic plan and authorize a request for proposals for hiring an outside firm. to give you a perspective by fall of 2026 to start this process. But to give you perspective, our strategic goals workshop that we did was about $15,000 is what we paid for the consultant. Other consultants proposed fees for a longer, much more strategic planning process. Those fees ranged anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 to $200,000. So it's a much more intensive thing. It would definitely involve the community, as was mentioned before. It's not just short-term strategic goals, but much more of a long-term vision. Public relations, develop and implement a communication strategy, bring back strategies on a communication strategy by October 2026. Goal number 3 was improve quality of life and implementation, housing and homelessness. Continue the homelessness and housing strategies with regional partners. Complete the navigation center by December 31st of 2026 or January 1, 2027. Implement a street medicine program, which we have brought forward to you by the fall of this year, 2026. Continue proactive efforts to address encampments and provide resources. We do cleanups of encampments of over 200 encampments every month. Continue that and even strengthen on that. Provide another housing update by January 2027. Our last housing update was in December. A housing and homeless update was December of 2026, or no, I guess January of 2027. Goal number 3, improve quality of life and implementation. Community engagement, neighborhood vitality, maintain culturally relevant events and neighborhood programming. Well, we have a lot of core services such as public safety, addressing homelessness that are important. Maintaining this cultural and relevant events and neighborhood programming is also very important to the city and just to the identity of the city. Develop and implement a coordination and beautification and anti-blight initiative. Evaluate current core enforcement operations and presented an updated implementation plan of how we could even improve upon what we have already tried to do in October 2026, and then continue to provide updates to you on capital improvement project updates to the mayor and city council. Goal number 4 is environmental development or economic development and growth implementation. Permitting and development services is one of those key areas when you're looking at economic development. We're currently in the middle of modernizing and streamlining permitting processes through implementation of a new software system. Achieve full implementation by January 2027. Complete and adopt the general plan by January 2027 so that there is a general plan that's now been updated. Establish and provide clear, concise, and user-friendly processes for licenses and permitting. Create a business attraction and retention program. That would be through economic development. Other priority initiatives that have been outlined and brought forward by the City Council include things such as strengthen partnerships with the school districts, colleges, healthcare institutions, the county, and local businesses here in the area. You've already built a lot of those partnerships, but to continue to enhance on those partnerships. The City Hall renovation, we've added that to the capital plan for the upcoming budget that's coming forward to you on June 17th. And for the very first part, which is the concept plan, and then street sweeping program to bring back for the signage requirements that we would need for enforcement of that program. One thing that's not in here is that we have been doing some research on the county and the property tax, which has been asked about before. Back in looking at the historical elements of it, when the property tax and 35% of the VLF were brought forward as far as what would go to the county. At that time, the cost for fire service was estimated at the county level of $32 million. We were estimated as spending about $36 million here in the city. That was a part of the reason for that transfer at that time. At that time, they also estimated about $9 to $10 million in fees, such as permitting fees and those types of fees that the county would be raising that would complement that $32 million to address, or no, it would complement $25 million in property tax to address the address the continual operations. We're going to have a review of it, and we're going to have a review of the property tax. And I'm talking with HDL, which is the current company that we currently utilize to do that, because they have the access to all the property taxes and sales taxes in the state. With that, we're open to any changes the council wants to do or any additions you want to do. In addition, the department directors have been doing drafts on objectives that once you have these broader priorities that are council visionary priorities for the city, that they would have specific things. Once we get more direction from council today, they will finish up their objectives for their own departments, and then we will be sending out that report to the council. With that, thank you, and we're open for questions or any dialogue the council has.
Thank you, staff. I do see Councilmember Ortiz, followed by Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So I got a bit. So, all right. One, I think former Councilwoman Calvin brought up a very good point, and I think Fred Charette, on his way out, has said this many times, that he's been a part of this, I don't know, like 11 times in the 17 years he's been here. And so as you talk about putting together director's reports and other plans, I think it should be, whatever my colleagues agree, but it should be a conglomeration of all the stuff. I mean, this council's not reinventing the wheel, right? We haven't been in City Hall in a decade. We haven't paved a street in between 40 to 50 years. We've only started, real implementation of paving. As the psalm says, these are our years of paving now. Street lighting, public safety initiatives. We've only been able to invest into public safety, probably the most investment. So when we talk about this, maybe it's a historical thing versus today's current needs, where we overlap, where we've missed the mark. Where's the consultant we paid $15,000 for tonight? Where's she at? And why isn't she providing us this as well?
Because we're in the implementation mode, and so I've typically done that from the city manager's office. The report that you got and the backup that you have, that's the report that she sent to the city
So
council.
we paid $15,000 to someone for 5 hours and 8 pages?
No, the 15,000, first of all, that was the lowest price, one of the lowest prices we got. But the 15,000 was for all the prep work ahead of time, then the council retreat, then the follow-up reports that then you got. So that it was more than 5 hours worth of work.
I didn't say, well, it feels like 5 hours worth of work. So, okay. I'm not happy about that, because I think she at least should be here, right? It's to follow up for questions and analysis. So we'll discuss that later. 4 months, so when we look at this, and I think you hit on a great point about progress, implementation, strategy, timelines. This council repeatedly, at least in my time, and I'm going to say prior in the past, as I've attended every meeting for the last 6 years, had consistently asked for updates. And one of the things, and I've mentioned this to my council members, is just alone when we talked about homelessness and we talked about the nonprofits, we see a lot of people get up here and say, your nonprofits aren't doing anything. I want to say January, February of last year, when I was first brought into office, we asked for quarterly reports and updates on homelessness initiatives. And I know you weren't here till August, but we've never received an update from what the individual nonprofits are doing as far as, I mean, we get our homeless update. I know Gabby does a great job of giving us the overhead numbers, but the specific individual calculations of each of the nonprofits that receive the funding that we provide them. Because I think tonight, the community is absolutely correct. I didn't hear a public comment other than the animal thing that I didn't, agree with, because that was just outside of the box of it. But we've been here before, we've done this before, and we have zero to show for it. And so that's an issue, especially when we talk about this fee study. We've been talking about fee studies forever. I want to say Robert Field talked about them. You had Charles McNeely speak about them. We had Andrea Miller talk about a need for fee studies. So, I mean, this is, and not to mention that our codes, like at least our building codes are from like the 1973. So again, like there's just real long-term issues. Wasn't HDL overseeing the cannabis? Did we remove, I have a question. Did we remove HDL over certain oversight but keep them on other things?
I'd have to research that, but I believe that they have been involved in cannabis, but they've also been involved in monitoring sales tax.
So what's taking so long? We've been asking for the numbers from the county for years.
They haven't been doing the property tax, and so that's what I just
Why?
requested. Because that's a separate contract, so that's just what I just requested based on the request from the council previously.
So what I would hope you would do in your due diligence of doing all of this is there's not a meeting over the last 4 years where this council at some point in time hasn't asked what the number is of what it costs for fire and what we pay alone in property tax a year. So check that out. The forensic audit and review, there was, as far as my knowledge, an RFP that already went out. Do you have that? Have you seen that? Do you know that?
We look for it. We couldn't find that.
So I'd like you to, if
We did find organizational assessment, and the two of them were for one specific department, and that's the reports that I sent out to council.
So
That's
you-
what we did find.
You might want to check with Rochelle Clayton, because to now add a new, this new auditor, and then to look at an independent review, in my purview, when I watched that meeting, I don't know why we need a presentation just to get a forensic audit done. I think, whether or not we need to redefine what forensic audit is, when I look at the malfeasance and fiscal mismanagement that was allowed to come out of the previous mayor's office, the city manager's office, knowing that people were provided NDAs and severances they were never entitled to, when we look at contracts and signing authorities, this is blanket. And so, this council separated the assessment between the forensic audit. And while however people wanted to, and I believe Barrington was here, I think his name is Barrington, and everybody tried to be nice about it, we had a private party hosted at the cost of the taxpayers for over $10,000, and no one ever did a damn thing about the Chotskys. And so I think to bring it back and want to ask what that means is ridiculous to me and a waste of our time. Do a forensic audit. And in my opinion, the council allocated $150,000. Do it across the board and in all departments. Either there's something there or there isn't. But when you have a finance director stand up and tell us, hey, I'm being asked to do something that, in my opinion, is going to bankrupt this city because you want to bond City Hall for $300 million, I think we have a problem, Eric. So do what you will with that.
I would just say that $150,000 for a forensic audit in every department in every area will not cover it.
Well, then come back with a big number.
Yeah.
Come back with something that will do it.
But we looked at the video, and we're going to bring back exactly what the council asked for at that meeting is what we're bringing back to show you.
I will,
And that's what the council asked us
because
for.
your minutes show that the council approved a forensic audit and a separate assessment. And so
Yeah.
if our minutes are incorrect,
That was what was said, was a forensic audit, but then we looked at what the council members said, because the council members said one thing, and then there was a thing said about forensic audit, and then the council took that. So we're going to take what the exact objectives the council asked for at that meeting and bring it back to the council.
okay. Public relations. In 2019, we had a public relations firm in this city that was then voted out because some council members thought that former Mayor Valdivia should have a bunch of private staffers up to $6 million. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, what are you going to do with that? Because we have a PIO. Are we utilizing the PIO? Is this in addition to the PIO actually having a staff? Is that the goal and objective?
the goal and objective is to bring back a strategy for the council review and see if you agree with that as far as increasing and enhancing our public relations.
An independent firm or a department?
I don't have that answer yet. That's what the answer will be when we come back.
So
in the
you're going to
fall.
do an assessment for both?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next. So when you talk about building relationships, a year and a half ago, this council agreed and voted to re-engage the Bridge Committee with the school district, and we still have not done that. So, I mean, that is our mechanism of reestablishing that connection between these elected bodies. So I'd like to still see that come forward. When we talk about engagement, we all agreed to bring back the Youth Civic Engagement Board. We still haven't done that. And so I think that speaks to Councilwoman Calvin, Al Palazzo's. We've already, what is it that we're doing here that we haven't already agreed to, right? Like, we vote on stuff and still nothing happens. I watch posts go up, like, look, we put all this stuff on the agenda and agreed to it. But the implementation, the stuff that's supposed to be happening and coming back to us, I still don't see it. City Hall, I don't think anybody's been in disagreement that City Hall has not been a priority for at least a decade in getting back to it. But then we watch budget cuts come up, and we're not even going to try and do the evaluation until we re-pull it forward as a #1 priority. That's a problem in the assessment. How many times, I mean, Lynn, you and me and Mario toured City Hall with the expectation a year ago almost now that you were going to bring an agenda item to us to be able to sit and talk about whether it was an engineering problem, whether it was a seismic problem, whether it was an ADA, a year ago. And I know people have sat up here for decades with nothing, but that's crazy to me. So when I see this, I just see the problem. I mean, and the list goes on, and I'm sure my fellow colleagues are going to hit on this, but, you know, a reinvestment plan into local businesses, if it wasn't on the agenda, I think, but I want to say February, March of last year, when we talk about code enforcement, Ashley gave a great point about whether, and I'm sure our economic development person can give us this, are we mitigating fees for improvements? Are we collecting fines? We talked, at least I know I did, I ran on the fact that we would have we could establish a reinvestment program where when we're collecting code enforcement fees, we could partner with local businesses and provide a stipend so that they could go in, either clear weeds, do improvements so that we could reduce blight in our city. We've done nothing. And so this is, I don't know. To me, it's not $15,000. To me, this is 30 pages of, I'm unimpressed. So I guess I need to be impressed because we did have our meeting in December. It's now June, so we've done 6 months of nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I first wanted to start congratulations again on your reelection, but as we have this discussion collectively as a body, and you will be leading the city for the next 4 years, before I go into my long rant, is there any specific goals that you want to share with the council that we can, one, make sure are integrated into the overall strategic goals that we set, and then also that we can get behind and support you as our mayor?
I think I'd like to hear all the council first because we started strategic planning in December. Let's continue the conversation, and I do have some words to say at the end.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I wanted to help you lead there, so we will come back. Thank you. So we had discussed there in December to create a dashboard. A lot of the community has came out, even beyond the public comments that we're hearing today. A lot of the community's complaints is the actual communication. And so I would like to bring that to the forefront again and see, is that possible? And if so, how soon we can actually get something on our city's website that is a dashboard that does have specific indicators of our success, where we're at with these goals. And so this, even our businesses would be able to log into our website and see really where we're at with our goals. Do we have an ETA, or has it been discussed among staff?
We have, like, for instance, the police department has a dashboard, so we can definitely expand that out to the other, but I don't have an ETA, but I can get an ETA to you.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, PD's is awesome. I think theirs is pretty comprehensive. It would be nice to build off of that to make it more citywide. I think Riverside, I haven't been to their website in quite some time, but Riverside had done a really good dashboard as well. So next, I do agree in regards to the updates, but not just with homelessness. I think we all feel the same. A lot of times we have these discussions about what our goals are, and then it ends up being shelved. So in order to really continue to keep the community informed, but also just stay aligned collectively as a mayor and council, is it possible that we can go ahead and have quarterly updates and reconvenings regarding the city's strategic plan? Okay.
Yeah, we can do quarterly updates regarding the strategic goals, yeah.
And that's actually what the city of Fontana does, and we can all see the progress that they're making, so it would be nice to implement that here in our city as well. Regarding Goal 1, fiscal sustainability, I did have a question. I know we are using the term forensic audit. It may not be a specific forensic audit per se, but I wanted to make sure that it is going to be inclusive of a study of our current landscape maintenance districts, as well as our community facility districts. I know I have, in my tenure, asked about those quite a bit. And the reason is, unfortunately, especially in the 5th Ward, we do have CFDs as well as LMDs, and I'm not seeing that we are getting what the community is actually paying for. So I would like to make sure that that is included in that audit to see the collection, really do an audit regarding our vendors, and ensure that our taxpayers are getting what they are paying for. Regarding goal number 2, becoming an organization of excellence, I just wanted to ask, I know you're going to be hiring an outside firm to evaluate the staffing structure. Councilmember Sanchez had mentioned prior to me and the newer council members coming to office that the then city manager, or previous city manager, had added quite a bit of staff. Do we have to wait till 2027 for that to be evaluated?
No, I mean, there's like, so that's what I was trying to say. An organizational audit would be, a formal one would be for that, but I am still doing like tweaks internally, so it isn't just that. The issue is we definitely put our resources into different areas, and we put our priorities where the priorities of the community are, or at least how I view where the community are: public safety, addressing homelessness. Some of those are where a lot of our resources go from the general fund. And so to move resources from them, we can look at that, but we just have to be careful on how we do it, because you don't want to forgo certain priorities by moving the resources in a certain way.
Understand, but this wouldn't be as far as you taking away from community priorities. I think what I'm trying to get at is really the staffing allocation. Is it what we need? Or do we have the specific capacity necessary so that those community priorities are truly being addressed? I know one that comes up over and over is code enforcement. So I just think waiting till June of 2027, where we're going to be yet again for another fiscal year, I think that's a little too late. Again, I understand that as you are, handling the day-to-day operations, you yourself are kind of, fine-tuning and tweaking things. But I'd hope that you can bring something back to the council much sooner in regards to even staffing reorganizations, via per specific departments as necessary.
So in addressing, like, for instance, you asked about code enforcement. We are bringing a plan to reorganize code enforcement, which will take some different positions. We're not increasing staff, but we are reorganizing in a way to be more effective on code enforcement. Plus, I've spoken many times just in the last year and a half, so just before I started and then has continued, the amount of inspections and processes we've done has exponentially increased, and we're going to show you that as part of that reorganization and how that would continue. Again, we're pretty much a balanced budget, so in order to add certain things in the general fund, then that means it's a zero-sum game, and so I'm trying to make sure that we're not taking from here to add to here, but trying to do things that help the community meet its priorities, and code enforcement's one of them for sure.
Yeah,
Code
and it may
enforcement
not be-
and blight is another one.
Yeah, and it may not be adding, depending on what the department looks like, what their current capacity is. It may be removing, I don't know, because we do have a lot of frozen positions as well that just may not be necessary.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to see. For improve quality of life in the implementation, when we do come back with a housing update, which I do agree with Councilmember Ortiz, is we do need that a little bit more frequently. We did all ask for that to be on a quarterly basis as well. But it also necessitates that. We just recently approved the Regional Housing Trust for us to be a part of that. And we really need to kind of understand what's going on in order for us to be able to make the decisions that we make here at the dais. So if we could please ensure that that is added to those quarterly updates, I'd greatly appreciate that. For one of the bullet points, as far as beautification and anti-blight initiatives, I just would like to encourage city staff to ensure that we are working with our community organizations. We do have some really great community partners, our Neighborhood Association Council. I know the Downtown Neighborhood Association, they've embarked on monthly cleanups. So I would like to make sure that we are integrating them into these plans and utilizing our community assets because they are of value to our community. And then also, I did want to ask, we've had quite a few speakers come up regarding integrating arts and culture into our overall plans. I would assume that would fit specifically into our economic development. I was looking and didn't have time to fully go through our Measure S, but I do believe Measure S does allow for parks, streets, and other items that we may be able to utilize some of the allocations in Measure S to be able to really support properly and hopefully sooner than later integrating arts and culture into our downtown, even if it is just beginning with that designation.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, the council asked for, when I come back with the budget, to have something regarding, because there was multiple requests for the $3 million at the last budget hearing, if you remember, and the council asked that I bring back what we can or can't do. So I have met with a couple of the key arts groups, and I am planning on bringing back at least some proposal to the council as part of that budget.
Awesome. All right, for economic development and growth, I remember you saying that the one-stop shop that the city had, previously spoke of wasn't necessarily a path forward that you felt we should go, which I completely trust your opinion there. But I just wanted to kind of ensure as we go forward, you had mentioned kind of modernizing and streamlining permitting processes. One of the things that I want to ensure that we do have transparency all across the board, transparency with our zoning, but also transparency with our timelines. One of the biggest complaints is how long it takes to get businesses approved, permits approved here in the city of San Bernardino. I think it would be ideal when any developer or business owner comes to the city of San Bernardino, they do have a realistic time frame of what it's going to take to actually start business here in our city. I have a business in the 5th Ward. They've unfortunately been paying rent on a space for months now because they are having such a challenging time getting through our permitting process. So if we can have a little bit more transparency as we're talking about modernization and streamlining, I think that would be really beneficial for those who come to do business here in the city of San Bernardino. And then, go ahead.
So I want to just clarify my statement. So my statement wasn't that a one-stop shop counter, I didn't mean for it to come across a one-stop shop counter is not beneficial, but that in and of itself, by itself, would not really necessarily improve our permitting process. That was my concern. I think the second part of what you said is the critical element, and that's the element I've really been trying to focus on because I think that's where a lot of cities actually fall down. There's a couple reasons for it. That one is communication, and one is sometimes they're just bureaucratic processes that create it. So I am looking at some different elements to that. I think that is what most development people are really looking for, is some some reasonable expectation and moving it forward. To give you an example, sometimes when someone comes in, we may say, let's use the general plan update. We may say the general plan update will suffice and it saves you money. Let's say it saves you $15,000, $30,000. But if it takes a year, year and a half, and you can't do it, that may cost you a lot of money too. So I think we need to have reasonable understanding and give them reasonable expectations, and then they may choose a different path to get to where they want to get for success. I have a couple projects I'm working with that have had that sort of hiccup and are trying to do that right now.
No, I understand. Like I said, however you feel is the best approach to get there, I think we all know what the end, result is, that we do want a more business-friendly San Bernardino. So, going a little bit more into depth in regards to economic development, because that's such a broad statement. I know that we had spoken of specific projects such as the Carousel Mall, the Arden and Guthrie project, but when we talk about our downtown, it's not just Carousel Mall. The city itself owns property downtown, such as the Harris Building, the Convention Center. I know, Lynn, you'll cry with me, the Woolworth Building that unfortunately was burned down. I do believe that we do have to integrate those into the overall economic development discussion of our downtown, because we are sitting on assets that we are not leveraging here in the city. All right, and then for our other priorities, when it came to strengthening partnerships, I agree with all of them. I just want to kind of go into how we strengthen those partnerships, more than just discussions and meetings. I know years ago, this was many years ago, the city used to have workforce development here within the city. I think it would be wise for us to really start thinking about the partnerships that we have with our schools, our colleges, and other community partners, and really think more beyond just, the relational aspect of it, and what we can do to really benefit the city and its residents. And I think integrating workforce development into those partnerships would really be ideal. Regarding City Hall renovation, I know there is initiating a City Hall renovation study, but there was one already done. Trish Ray was a former Public Works Director. My mom brain is making me forget the year, but I believe it was maybe 2018-19. And she did a pretty comprehensive study regarding the city's deferred maintenance. I have no idea where that plan is, but I think it would be ideal that our city finds that, because again, it was a very comprehensive study. It was City Hall included, as well as infrastructure and probably a lot of other things. And then as we go through all these discussions in regards to moving the city forward, obviously finances is always a challenge. We do have our legislative affairs manager. He's great, Luis Marquez. We also pay for lobbyists. I really would like to see more coordinated efforts and communication to the council when it comes to our legislative ask. I myself had the opportunity to go up to Sacramento last year, and I asked at that time if we could integrate our legislative ask a little bit more into our city's goals. I don't see that that has happened. So as we go along in this discussion, I really would like to see a little bit more integration with our legislative ask, and when it comes to our grants team as well. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Ibarra.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff, for the report. As some of the speakers have said, and I've been here almost 8 years now, every new city manager we've had has done a strategic plan with us, but it's never been implemented. I don't know if it's something that city managers want to do on their own and ignore the previous ones. I know the one that we have with former interim city manager Charles McNeely, for example, he asked us for staffing levels to make some of these plans come to fruition. We added the staff during budget hearing, but it never got implemented. I know before him, we had another, I think it was under Rob Field, where we had Mike Huntley as our economic development director. And he had a lot of great ideas. He left, and when that happened, a lot of projects fell through the cracks. The same with Nathan Friedman, who was here. He also did a lot of good work in Riverside. And so that was also under Robert Field. The issue that we're having, though, is that it's this. We are approving staffing levels to make those plans get implemented, and they don't get done. I know I've asked this in the past. How much or how fast can a city replace a broken street light? Why, when we ask for specific projects in the city, something as simple as just getting a cost breakdown of how much it's going to cost for a specific project or items, so we can ask our legislators for assistance with, that doesn't come to us. And I've voiced this, like, for example, Paris Hill Park, I've asked for this information, and it's something, when we go to the conferences, we have the exhibitor hall, and there's exhibitors from all over the United States that either provide, like, the Christmas lights and the decorations that we currently have for Miracle on Court Street. I've seen those at those conferences. Portable restrooms, replacement restrooms, I've seen those at those conferences. But yet we don't have working restrooms publicly for our public to use. Our lights are not getting fixed. It's something simple, and I think that's a frustration with our residents and our businesses, that something as simple as those items are not getting done. What is it going to take for that to happen for our city, like the implementation of the strategic plans? I'll give you another example. We back in 2019 approved the ordinance for street vendors, correct? We were told that we hired more code enforcement officers, we'd have some go out into the city at nighttime, on the weekends, and that hasn't been happening. The same with the permit department. Many times I've mentioned Mr. Al Palazzo. I've gone on his tour twice. I've seen the visions that he has. I've seen the changes that happen in Santa Ana, and I want to see good things happen for the city of San Bernardino, but they're not happening. Why is it so hard for a city to hire Mr. Al Palazzo? He's not asking for a lot, and he has a lot of background knowledge, ideas for the city. I won't forget that Eiffel Tower idea.
Councilwoman, that's
But
under
no,
purview of the city manager, so please stay focused on what we need to
no,
inquire.
I just want to show
Understood.
that we're trying to do good things for the city, but then we get stuck with all these consultants, all these assessments that we keep doing, that we keep bringing into the city, and the things aren't getting done for our city. It makes us look like we're not doing anything for the city, and we're trying to. We're really trying our hardest as elected officials here.
And again, that's under the city manager's purview, so we just need to express, if you want to inquire, just inquire
No,
about the
and I
hiring
think
process.
he actually
But-
met with you, right?
Understood, but
Previous
we,
city
again,
managers
you're a
haven't.
policymaker, so let's just stay focused. Thank you.
Okay. So we're talking about our goals and priorities. Since I came into office, we've been trying to get the city hall renovated. I know in the past, other city managers have talked about the 3 Ps, public-private partnerships. That never came back to us. When I first came on board, that city manager wouldn't show me anything, didn't want to show anything publicly, because that city manager said, oh, we can expose the city to liability. That was what that city manager kept telling me on everything. And so here we're trying, I don't know if you guys have heard of the frustration of our public, frustration from us. And that's because we are not implementing. To get a citywide fee study to take 6 to 9 months, why can't we just have somebody in-house do this? I'm very anti-outsourcing, Mr. City Manager, because when I came on board, we were on the bricks of outsourcing our animal shelter. We fought for it. We outsource our county fire, our city fire. We outsource that. Now we appoint formerly elected city attorneys, city clerks. So I mean, we're trying to work with the new charter, and but I don't think it's working. And I hope the public understands that that city charter is very vague. people can interpret it the way as one wishes. There's a lot of power for us council members and in our city manager. Little power for our city mayor, yet they're elected at large. It doesn't make sense. I hope people come out to the Charter Review Committee meeting that they're having on Wednesday. But, I mean, these are issues, like I said, why are we just we keep hiring consultants year after year? We're getting people from outside. I know when you're talking about fiscal sustainability, my question is under the revenue. You had mentioned that revenue sources represent approximately 59% of the city of San Bernardino's revenues. And I think you mentioned that that includes the sales and property taxes too?
So, yes, Councilmember Barra, I can address two issues. Two of the questions you had. One is on that the point was that property and sales tax is the major, that's what most cities in the state of California, because the way state of California is formed legally, that's the that's the primary revenue source for most cities. You also have other things, like we have the utility tax, you have these other taxes. There's taxes or other fees that we don't do because culturally or whatever the case would be, the city has chosen not to do it, which happens all over the state. But when you look at sales and property tax, that tends to be your primary, and that's where usually 70 to 80%, or at least in the cities that we did evaluation on, or I did evaluation on, 70 to 80% goes there. We're substantially behind that. The only point to that is it's not like they're finding revenues we're not. It's just we're starting a little bit behind them. That's the point on that. The second thing to the fee study, just so you're aware, you have to meet legal parameters on fee studies, and so that's why a lot of cities, including us, do. I would propose bringing an outside consultant to do it, because you have to meet certain criteria or you can be challenged on your fees legally, because you have to be able to show that it's not in excess of whatever the resources are that goes for, whether it's planning fees or zoning fees or whatever the fees would be, building fees. And so that's, there's a lot of heavy staffing that actually goes to that too, because they have to go and get all the data from our staff, but you need someone that knows those laws and understands them doing them, and that's why I would recommend it in that case.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we've done study fees for our various positions that we have for the city, for city employees. We've looked at market analysis, how much a certain title gets paid in a region area close to us, so we can be competitive in hiring employees. So this is in addition to what staff is doing currently then, right? You'll be having like an outside firm come in and make sure.
This would be
that
to
these
tie the
fees-
fees directly to the costs of the staff, yes.
Okay. So I would recommend that before those increases come to us, that they go through a professional person that looks into that. The same, under goal number 2, become the organization of excellence. Second point, we again mention independent consulting firms. That's all we're getting in the city, a lot of consulting firms since I came into office, a lot of outsourcing, a lot of work that we can have staff do in-house. We're getting professionals that, as one of my colleagues mentioned, we paid, what was it, $15,000 for a 5-hour strategic planning session, which I didn't attend, but for 5 hours, $15,000 is pretty big, in my opinion. So yeah, hire outside firms to do all this work. Why can't we do it in-house? Those are just like my questions, because I prefer having everything in-house, that we control it. The perfect example, and you mentioned it at the towards the end on.
And I would say, Councilmember Ibarra, that we can. I've actually run the retreats myself in some cities where they don't want to have those outside consultants. It may be a different level, because then it takes away from other things that you're doing. So you have to make those judgments. Some cities want to do it that way, and that's something we could do here too.
Okay, yeah, because I've seen it where some consulting firms that we hire, they don't finish the task at hand, and then they ask us to do another addition for another 3 or 6 months of work that they're getting complete in the first 6 months, for example. So it takes a burden on our coffers for our city. I know there was one more. You had mentioned here, I think it's the quality of life implementation, when we're talking about the street sweeping. We've been trying to get the street sweeping back into place. And I don't know, I had heard, and I don't know if you found out, whether or not we have those signs available somewhere along the city that we can just prop up. I was told that we at one point did have those signs before bankruptcy, and we don't have them. When I moved out here from Orange County, I was shocked. 'Cause I've lived in Westwood, Costa Mesa, Santa Ana, you name it. Every one of those jurisdictions had signage for street sweeping. But when I came here, it wasn't happening. And when I called the city office, oh, we don't have a set schedule for street sweeping. I was like, how can that be possible? I'm used to running out and moving my car just for the street sweeper to come by. And that's not happening in our city. So something as simple as that, the street sweeping. Now it's more, I'm noticing a pattern when it goes through my neighborhood. And I think with that pattern, we should know where to put the signs and tell people in advance, by the way, we're gonna have street sweepers coming up on these days. We already talked about City Hall. I like the partnerships that we're building with all our partners. I think we forgot here our state and federal. We've had a lot of our state and federal legislators also help us with projects, so definitely include them on the next report. And then it'd be nice to have a breakdown of the property taxes. That's the biggest deal, because I feel like we're getting to a point where we can't hire any more staff. We can't do more capital improvement projects because of our budget. We're restricted to however we have, and we don't get the property taxes. So if we can, hopefully soon, we can get the breakdown of how our property taxes are being used at the county level. If there's anything that our city can recoup to help us out. Our local businesses and our residents, I think they're being burdened with the sales tax out here, and they don't see the good things that all the sales taxes that we're collecting is doing, even though we're trying the best as elected officials here. I just want to address those concerns from the community. And I know Tanya's been here for a while, and she knows all the changes that we've had. And I do thank staff like Tanya that's always greeting everybody with a smile and helping as much as possible. That's what I hope our city becomes, that we have staff that really cares about our public and our citizens and businesses out here. And those would be that's it. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Figueroa, followed by Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mayor, as well for enforcing the guardrails of this conversation, making sure that we're compliant and not in violation of the charter by telling the city manager who he should hire or who he should not hire as well. Because one of the things that the charter is not vague on is exactly that, is not instructing the city manager who to hire or who not to hire. So thank you for maintaining those guardrails. As we move forward here, I know that we're looking at big picture things, right? We have big policy things, big picture items, but it's important that as we move forward, that it is the small things that make the big difference as well, right? Because it is those small things that create so much frustration for so many different people, whether it's a project, whether it's a resident, a business, some other organization as well. It's those small little things that create those frustrations. And so I'm glad that we're looking at the permit process, right? So that we start streamlining some of those things, because you and I have had conversations where there have been frustrations by applicants or by residents for little things, right? Like streetlights not being turned on certain streets, or projects being delayed for various different reasons, right? So those small little things need to be considered as well. And so I'm glad that we're looking at streamlining some of those processes too, to help facilitate some of those things. And I'm one of the people that actually does support the one-stop shop. However, I do understand your perspective of that it might not necessarily mean that it's an actual physical location that might be needed to help facilitate some of these things, right? It could could potentially be like a liaison or something, somebody, a go-between, an office that provides, that ensures, collaboration between departments, right? Just to ensure that there's an easy way to get things moving along, right? Because their project might be delayed where they're thinking they're stuck in one department, but it's really a different department that could be the issue as well. And so perhaps that might be the thing that might be needed as well. Because when I look at other areas in the city where there is sort of a one-stop shop, I look at the GoSB City app, right? That in a way is a one-stop shop for residents to report various different things and issues through CRMs in the city. And although there have been some updates to the app, and again, I think it's some third-party vendor that we contract with, they've done a pretty good job of updating the app with, if you submit a CRM and it's already been submitted by somebody else, it doesn't just close you out. It allows you an option to be able to follow it. Even though you're not the original person that submitted the case, you're still now able to follow it so that when it does close out, you can actually see and verify when it was taken care of, right? The issue and again, I've shared this with you, and in the past, there have been issues with this, is that although that is sort of a one-stop shop, and I compare this to the permitting process, right? There are still issues because there are certain things that get closed out without actually being done or completed, right? And so that's something that needs to be looked at. And so as we move forward with not just the permitting process, but also with the residents and how they're able to submit issues in the city and how they're reported, I hope that we can take a look at that too, because that's what creates so much frustration. And I hope that we can continue to build that trust with the public so that when they do submit something, it's not just, it's closed out and I don't know now when it's going to be completed. Is it going to get done? It gets closed out, and then I drive by a day later, and it's not being taken care of, right? And so these are the frustrating things that we get from the public as well. And I understand it because I submit those same things, and they're closed out on me. I go by later on that afternoon from work, and it's still there. It's not resolved. And so I bring this up as an example of a one-stop shop. And so I don't want us just to focus on a one-stop shop. I want us to be able to focus on, is it actually getting done? And so perhaps, and I get it, I support having the one-stop shop, but perhaps it's not an actual physical location as much as maybe it is a person like a liaison or somebody, a go-betweener, to be able to help facilitate some of those things as well. And so I'm open to ideas. I'm open to different ways of thinking, some futuristic ways of getting things done, right? It doesn't always have to be brick and mortar or an actual physical location, but I'm open to some of these ideas. So I hope that you bring that back to us. Again, I'm in support of a one-stop shop, but if there's an easier way to get that done, I'm open to that as well. And so with that, Mayor, I do appreciate that, Mr. City Manager. Thank you to you as well and to all your staff. I really look forward to receiving a very robust report on this as we move forward. But again, my concern, and a few members of the public mentioned it, is the implementation of this as well. Because we can sit up here and talk about all these great things, right? And I think there was a previous council member who said that, I believe my eyes more than I believe my ears, because we hear all this stuff, but we're not seeing it. And I'll believe my eyes a little bit more when I start seeing it, as opposed to when, up here just talking about it. And so I thank you, and I appreciate the leadership to you and to all the departments, to all our staff. Thank you. I know it's a lot of work, but we're here for the public, for the business community, for our employees as well, and we want to make sure that we remove a lot of these stressful situations so that we do become a streamlined city as well as we move forward. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Flores, followed by Mayor Pro Tem, followed by Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to, I'm in agreement with a lot of what was said here on the dais, especially to what Councilmember Figueroa said regarding the CRM system and because even I find myself when I input the CRMs, they say that they're cleared out, but they still are unresolved. And I think looking into that and making sure that, because that's a big component into our residents' quality of life, because they're keeping track. I love how we're updating the app and we're able to start following CRMs instead of piling on the same CRM, but what's the purpose of going through all that implementation if we can't even like resolve the issue? So looking forward, I would like to see that come back as we start looking into that. And then a big kudos to what Mayor Pro Tem Nas said regarding the workforce development. As we look at the Inland Empire region as a whole, we see that our youth and our young adults are the ones that are currently facing a big trials and tribulations regarding workforce development, and seeing the city of San Bernardino and all the assets that we have, all the partnerships that we have, we can really set ourselves up for success to be able to streamline our young people into a career, pathway for them to live, work, play here in the city. So just want to echo on that. A little thing on my end that I kind of want to add on is goal number 2, becoming an organization of excellence implementation. On the second page for public relations is how we making sure that we're really marketing ourselves and branding. We're on the cusp of all this change, and I on my drive here from work, I was able to hear some of the public comments and also some of what my colleagues were briefly mentioning, and it's just we're doing this over and over again, but we're not necessarily implementing it and we're not finalizing. So just staying on top of it, but in regards to the public relations, the marketing ourselves in a way that I would say back in, what was it, 1970, the city of San Bernardino got the tagline, the city on the move, right? And that's what we're known for. So as we continue to grow and continue to go into the future, marketing ourselves with taglines and maybe, I don't know, rebranding ourselves. I don't know if that's necessary, but showing visually and letting people know that, hey, things are actually changing here and we're actually working and striving towards our goals. And that's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem, followed by Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you. I totally concur with that, Councilmember Flores. I do think rebranding the city of San Bernardino is imperative. I think that would behoove us, especially as we move forward with our strategic goals. I think that would be very beneficial. I always say until people could see, touch it, and feel it, it's not happening. So I think being able to create that kind of visual, even when it comes to our communications and how we market our city, is the first step. So I do agree with that as well. I did want to circle back. Sorry, I had missed something in regards to economic development. We always bring up the general plan, but I have to keep on ensuring that we don't forget about our downtown specific plan. That's the general plan's mentioned here, but our downtown specific plan is not. So can we also, and the timeline does keep changing. Our last meeting I had asked about both, and I was advised that it should be coming back probably April. Now I'm seeing January, so has that timeline moved again?
You're talking about for the general plan or
For both general plan and downtown specific plan. We were last advised that both would be coming back around October.
Yeah, so I think so let me ask the community development director come up, and is he here? If he could come up and give the latest, but I believe that we're looking to have it done before the end of the year. I'm not sure if it's as soon as October, because October might be around the time it goes to Plan Commission, but let me double check with him.
Okay.
Because CEQA is part of what is affecting that. And then the downtown specific plan, I believe a draft has just gotten completed on that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Councilmember Canals, the presentation I was giving the last time indicates that we want to bring the general plan, and when I say general plan, I'm talking about all the components thereof. So general plan, how the downtown specific plan, the zoning code update, and the zoning map update all at once, going to Planning Commission in September and coming to the City Council in October. As the City Manager just mentioned earlier, the draft downtown specific plan is out. We're going through just the revisions of that. I don't see that being a problem. Now, if there's any interest on the part of the City Council to bring the downtown specific plan just as a kind of a, this is what we're doing, we can probably incorporate that into the process.
Now, I think at this point, we're ready to move forward. We're ready for the actual implementation. We've been talking about our downtown specific plan as well as our general plan now for about 6 years. And so again, the timeline keeps moving. So I think we as a council, we just need to know concretely, like, when are we going to be able to actually implement our city's new general plan and downtown specific plan?
So I am not deviating from the dates that we're giving at the last presentation, which was September, somehow going to the Planning Commission, and October coming to the City Council.
Okay, thank you. And then I did have a quick question regarding just downtown, how I was speaking, going beyond Carousel Mall. I forgot to mention Seacom Lake. I know we're making significant investments, I believe around $13 million. Prior, there was a council approval for housing, a housing development. Is that still integrated into our downtown specific plan? And do we have any updates regarding what's going on with that housing development? Because that was quite some years ago.
From my understanding, Councilmember Canals, that housing development has somehow not moved forward since the last time we talked about it. And I do vividly remember, yes, we were talking about Seacom Lake, and we were trying to separate the two sides of it, which is the lake itself and this proposed residential development. Nothing has happened in a very long time, but...
Well, I just want to make sure that those plans, because they were previous plans, the council had extensive dialogue regarding that it is integrated into the downtown specific plan as well.
As part of the city's housing element as well.
I'm sorry?
And as part of the city's housing element.
Correct, yes. So do you know that it is, or?
Which one, the housing element
Both.
or the downtown? Yes, on the housing element, and I think yes on the downtown specific plan as well. The downtown specific plan, if I remember, has 9 different neighborhoods, and I think this particular one around Seacom Lake, that housing development is a part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor, and I mean, really great comments. To Councilmember Flores, you know what's crazy is when I went and visited the Radisson and the Old Clarion, like, we talk about our motto being the city on the move. It used to be no longer a place to go through, it's a place to come to. And I saw it on like an old machine. And that's, I think when we look at this and everything that we're talking about, I mean, to Councilmember Ibarra's point, you know, just the simplest thing, and we'll go back to this, we talked about the street sweeping, is just, to me, the epitome of simplicity that we can't even get to. And I mean, 6 years ago, this is what we were talking about, is just getting street signs up, and whether it was Burtech's responsibility, we've talked about, and I really want to make sure we circle back to Mr. City Attorney. I think maybe 5 meetings ago, a couple months ago, we were talking about what that contract says and what that verbiage really means about new signage and whose responsibility that is, because if you can't even do the most basic thing, I mean, we are, and looking at, you know, we'll be turning over half the council next year, what that means as far as goal setting, implementation, follow through, because this brings me to, you know, when we talk about workforce development, you know, we're not, and I think Fred, I want to say Fred had said this for years, we're not in the business of giving people jobs, but we house roughly 50,000 employees on a daily basis between the county, the school district, Caltrans, and what that fundamentally means as far as establishing a city where people want to not only drive into work, but want to live and invest as far as housing is concerned. And to me, when I hear from my colleagues, you know, that portion of it, as the administrator, as a public administrator, and as an elected official now, to me, that's paved streets, safe streets, lit streets, housing, and how that all falls into it. Because I think everybody has their part to play. One thing in looking at implementation, it's one thing to talk about it. We're the policy setters. We're not the implementers. And with that, though, I have a concern about your office, and I think about this a lot, because, you know, I love Tanya Romero forever, because I know that's not her name. But what I know is that I don't think you have enough support as far as when I look at the structure of implementation and guidance, your job as far as handling this versus who is supposed to be your second. And I really believe in an ACM, because that's the back door and you've got the front door. Staff comes, because it's not enough. And I know Tanya has been great in saying like, hey, I don't want to be a city manager, right? If something were to happen, no. So what you need is someone that's like, hey, I need to be equal or a step behind and ready to help you in a position of which this is a large undertaking, probably why it's never been successful. Because you are either, and I'm saying this rhetorically, this is a question, but I want you to think about it as you sit back tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning. And rhetorically, like, are you managing staff or is staff managing you? And I think that's important because I see the emails come through. I hear from developers. I fully believe in a one-stop shop. And it's the same thing I'm going to tell you as what I tell my students. There's nothing like putting pen to paper, because there's nothing like being in front of somebody. Technology is great. Streamlining through applications is wonderful. But when something breaks down, I want to sit across from the table. I want to be in their Verizon store. I want to be in front of a clerk if I can't self-checkout. I need person-to-person interaction. And what I see is that restriction. I mean, I hear nothing about complaints from some of our contracted engineering firms. They go on vacation, they're gone. We have a funnel somehow in our economic development department where some people are gatekeeping, some people are sabotaging, however you want to define it, however you want to look at it, we're not addressing it. But can you do it all? And I think what we all know as leaders is that the best thing about a team is finding people who are greater than you to do things even greater. So I want, as part of this strategic planning, as far as the future is, because we give people $60,000 raises just based on impaction. What does that mean for an actual use of a need in your department for implementation? How do we get this to fruition? What's a timeline without a clock? What is 2027? 6 months. What is a quarter without anybody that can write the report? I mean, I think Will and Corey are amazing, but we need a couple more Wills and Corys, because who's going to crunch the numbers? It just doesn't happen by magic. So when I hear it, I really want, and when we talk about a dashboard, who's going to upload the dashboard? Who's going to quantify and qualify what we are asking to bring into fruition? You got to have both. And I think, again, I want to mention too, when we look at the processes, EDRC, the Planning Commission, purpose, productivity, follow through, necessity. You know, people say like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. No, that's the definition of failure. You're not crazy. Poor people are crazy, rich people are eccentric. What's the difference? It is a failed, repetitious, unnecessary, bureaucratic timeline streamline. Let's move past that. So these are the things when I hear my colleagues, and I think everybody has given wonderful, wonderful comments, but, you know, get it done. Otherwise, we're wasting time and we're wasting money. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments by Councilmember Ibarra?
But for the record, I do want to acknowledge our city manager, Mr. Eric Levitt, because he does take the time to get to know his staff. He makes time to get to know community members and us council members. He is being more open to us than other previous city managers have been. I'm happy with you being here, and I thank you for that. And I hope we can finally make this happen under your leadership, of course, overseeing our staff. And going off real fast on what my colleague, Councilmember Ortiz, mentioned, I remember when I first became a council member, and we had a new city charter to follow. One of our council staff told me, council member, please read and understand the charter. You have no idea how much power city council members have until you understand that charter completely. And that's what we're trying to do. There's a lot of power between council and city manager. And I said it again. We have our mayor that in other cities is the big figurehead, and everybody goes to the mayor and listens for the mayor to see what it is that they need for their cities. They're the spokesperson. But other cities give them so much more power than we do here in our city. But I do thank you. As our city manager, you are our CEO. You run the city day-to-day functions. You oversee your staff. We don't. We stay out of it. But as legislators, we want to see that action happen. And I have faith that you will get us to that next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments by any of the council members? Okay, well, I do have comments as the mayor of the city, and I thank you, council, for all of your comments. They are great comments, great discussion and questions, because a lot of what you all are saying is very much aligned to how we can move the city forward. And Mr. City Manager, you have a big job to do. For the current charter, your job is huge. And so we lean to you on how you could be successful, you and your staff could be successful to drive the results. And what we hear from the community, from the council, is that we need a sense of urgency. We have to conduct ourselves with a sense of urgency in everything we do. We are a big city with big problems, so we are very busy. But how do we drive the results is key. So we lean to your expertise to come back to us based on what our questions and inquiries are, especially the council, and the sense of frustration from the community. How do you drive those results and bring that back and update us? I think that's one of the things that I'm hearing is that progress report. What I think a very consistent coming back, okay, even if there is no progress, just let us know. It's still in the process, and just so we know you're still working on it. And so it's not forgotten. I think that's one of the things that I'm hearing from the council body. And I know one of the things that we need to understand as a body is, do you have capacity issues? Do you have bandwidth issues? What is it that you need to make that happen? We don't expect you to make things happen overnight or just wave a wand because, you know, we have such an urgency here. But if we don't understand what it takes from you as the subject matter experts, remember, you guys are the ones that are going to drive the results, not us. We're just big picture, this is what we need because the community is saying, hey, we need to address homelessness, we need to address housing, we need to address downtown, the infrastructure, the streets, the lights, the parks. I mean, you hear it all, right? It's how do we make that happen? The one-stop shop, I don't disagree. We need that, but also there is all other ways of doing it. And at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, you know, I got approached with a lot of, you know, opportunities to improve business permitting or just, you know, areas of where we keep hearing in the business community. And I've shared that with you. Maybe it's piloting something. That, and I appreciate you, Mr. City Manager, for being engaged on taking a deep dive of where's the issue? Where is it stuck? What is it? Is it the culture or is it, what is it, right? And I appreciate your leadership to really take a deep dive because you've shared and come back to myself and others on the council, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what we need to do. And so continue to do that. I think that's one of the things that we need to do. And the biggest thing is image of our city. Image, image, image. And the public relation is a huge commitment for us to say we need that. We can't rely on one person, our PIO, to do it all because that's not possible. We know that. We have to be realistic. But how do we make San Bernardino's image to be an image of not the dirty city, not the unsafe city, which I know our police chief and his department are doing an amazing job making our city safer. And perhaps even this flag right here, rebranding that to make sure that that comes into a whole new, you know, this is where we're going, this is where we're heading, and rebranding that. So it's image, service delivery, results. The dashboard, we hear that a lot. We just want to see that there is things in motion. There's results, there's increase in our streets getting paved, our potholes getting filled, our trees getting trimmed, lights getting fixed. Those things, just listening, right? And then how you can come back and let us know, hey, this is what I hear, what you're saying, this is what, because we represent the people of this community, 226,000. So it's really how we present ourselves. City Hall. We mentioned about one-stop shop, service delivery. City Hall is a huge component of that. Exploring P3, public-private partnerships, and then looking at that, and then maybe looking at the convention with that and the hotel all combined. What does that look like? Because that could tie into downtown. So a lot of that is connected. How do we bring all services in one space? Because right now it's all over, right? We have it on E Street, Vanner, and so it's really difficult to say what we want to do here, but not have a city hall that has everyone under one roof, and almost majority. And I think that's very important that, and you're hearing from the council body here, that that's a priority. Please look at that and come back with an analysis on what that response is. Because that is connected to everything else, economic development, all of that. The fire services. It's 10 years now since we've gone through with the county fire. And I think one of the things that we would like to see is an analysis of how we have been doing with our county fire services. And I know the county fire has done significant improvements with the fire stations, with the service delivery, and how we respond to fire. And all of that combined with the costs. I think this is what the body needs in order for the public to understand that we are looking at paying attention to your tax dollars, and it's being utilized and paid and served effectively. So it's, again, not just talk, we got to see it. So we're sharing all this now, but come back to us with, this is what we hear from you. This is what we anticipate in the next 6 months, next 12 months, what that is. So even on here, this spreadsheet, this presentation, I'm sorry, you mentioned dates. So I appreciate that. Thank you. January 2027 seems to be a very busy month with lots of updates. So, but thank you. It's, again, constantly trying to put that, incorporate not just words, but with dates. And then I wanted to add this into all of the comments made. 90,000 employees come into our city every single day. If we have a place where they can live, work, and play, can you imagine what that creates? That could be a 300,000 residents, and we can, we have such opportunity, and just think about that as employees of this organization. Any other comments, council, before? Councilman Ortiz?
When we talk about PR, I think because as people bring up the charter, what that means as far as incorporating the mayor into what PR looks like, what the messaging looks like in relation to the priorities of the council, the set tone, the set trajectory, and the set priority of how the body is then relayed publicly through messaging through the city manager and messaging. That should be very coordinated. There should be, when you bring this back, there should be nothing that this body is saying or not saying that anybody else should have an independent voice of, because the charter is very clear. And to me, in my opinion, the mayor in my time here has been very coordinated with promoting that. But I think as we look to further invest into what the vision, the drawing board of what that is that this council's voice is the PR that is then narrated and visualized publicly. So with Jeff, I think Jeff does great when you guys actually use him, and then what that means, because I don't want us to pay a PIO that we don't use, because press releases, you can AI them. Like, really, what is our public information officer really driving home in coordination with the city managers and the mayor's office while we do the heavy lifting on the policy side? So that what I'd like to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And thank you for saying that, because I feel like the city has so much success stories and so much projects that have been completed that has not been done a good enough job to put it out there, to create that image of our city, that we are on the path of upwards, not downwards. And the other thing I wanted to add is project managers. Make sure you have whether they're temporary, just because those projects are very dedicated. You have to wake up and sleep with just living through that project only. And so dedicated project managers for those specific projects, and it's temporary, right? So you just have to come back to us, this is what you need to make that happen. And I really think that is all of it. On downtown, I did, one of the things that we need to really understand as a body is, I think I mentioned this to you, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, is that please come back to us in closed session next meeting, updating us where are we at. Because I know that is something that we need to know. What is the path forward? What's the anticipated timeline so we can really get to work as a body and really have a downtown right here in our city. Any other comments before I close it? Mayor Pro Tem.
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the collective discussion. I know this is what we've been talking about since January of last year, so it is really exciting. And I know the frustrations of the community. I think we all share them because we live here too. So this is an exciting day, I think, for us to come together truly collaboratively as mayor and council and really work towards moving our city forward. So just thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well said. All right, I don't think this requires a vote, right? This was just a discussion for us, for the staff to hear what the body has to say and the input and the public comment. So thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned at 7:08 p.m. The next regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency will be held on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 at the Norman F. Feldheim Central Library located at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92410. Closed session will begin at 4 p.m. and open session begin at 5 p.m. Good night, everyone. Get home safely.